You're good.
Oh wait, we're actually on the wrong. Here we go. Well, auspicious beginnings. Hi.
Are we on?
Yeah, we're on now.
We're on.
Welcome, welcome, albeit a little late. Welcome to another exciting edition of Cambridge Inside Out. My name is Robert Winters.
I'm Susana Segat. Hi, Robert.
Susanna just barged in the door like 3 seconds ago.
Sorry, I'm late, and then I had to do some technological.
Yeah, I immediately put her to work
wizardry.
trying to get.
I think I fixed it though.
You got? Oh, you figured it out? Okay, excellent. All right. Well, we have.
Hi, Robert.
Hey, Susanna. This is another edition where we don't have a third party. We are guestless.
Look at how far away we are from each other.
We don't have to be that way.
Big news today.
What's the big news? I was locked up in the house all day.
The Supreme Judicial Court
Of
ruled on the
Massachusetts.
casinos.
Oh, and what's the word?
Well, as you remember, a group filed an initiative petition to put the House and Senate and Governor passed a law saying that there shall be casinos and slot machines and pari-mutuel racing.
Right.
And then a group of people said, no, we don't want this, and we're going to put it on the ballot.
Yeah.
And so they got all the signatures and said, let's put it on the ballot. And then the Attorney General said, no, it shouldn't be on the ballot. So they got upset and sent it to the Supreme Judicial Court to decide. And they decided today.
Oh, and what's the decision?
They decided that people are allowed to vote to repeal the 2011 law legalizing casinos.
I see.
So it's going to be on the ballot.
I think there was
In November.
There was a poll in the Boston Globe the other day that said that the public sentiment still seems, at least right now, to be in favor of casinos.
Well, it changes every day.
Yeah.
And November is a long time from now.
Yeah.
But I think the implications for me is that the casino vote is going to take all the airwaves. So everyone running for governor in all these offices who think they are going to have time on people's minds and on TV to run ads, my guess is it's all going to be all
All about the casino?
all the time,
All
pro
right.
and con.
All right.
That's my guess.
I can see it. Well, let's see. So what are we going to do this week? What are you up for?
I can talk a little bit about what's been happening at the State House. How about you?
Got some just sort of general all around town some things, a little more public meetings. The thing
Oh,
I
good.
do all so much.
I like that.
Right. Actually, one thing
Keeps me informed.
one thing I thought we might do a little bit, except we have to get rid of this update available nonsense that's
Oh, yeah.
coming up here on the old machine here. It's just sort
Oh,
of
here
just,
you're going back here?
yeah, why don't you
The
sort of
first
go over
one?
here and I want you to sort of show a thing or two. No, not so much of it, below that. Or you can just sort of scroll down, either way. Anyway, yeah, that's the one I want to do.
Oh, my
So,
goodness.
Let's see, so we just,
This is quite the photo.
so let's see, I think we
Go
just
ahead, that
pressed
one.
that button. Here we go.
There it is.
So we've been having a little fun with the Cambridge Civic Journal this week. There was a photo that was published from the.
Oh, wow.
Ain't it
Does
something?
anyone recognize this person?
Well, actually, that's the big question here.
This person? Wow.
I know now. I actually know everybody in the picture, or actually almost everybody in the picture, all but one. This is a photo that was posted, I think, on Facebook or Twitter by the Cambridge Chamber of Commerce
Beautiful.
this past week, and
What was
and,
their point? What were they?
Well, I mean,
thinking
I think they were just sort of
Showing history?
Showing a little bit of history of what was back when, and I
Well,
think
from the Paisley, it has to be the 60s, right? 70s?
I think it's actually about late, sometime in the 70s,
Yeah.
right? And it's interesting because I know a few of the people in the picture, but many people now because
That's
enough
Joe
time
Kennedy.
has passed. That's the one everybody gets is Joe Kennedy, a
And
younger
that's Al Vellucci.
Al Vellucci up in front. And the guy over to the far right is
Healy.
really kind of a stunner. Bob Healy in a nice white turtleneck.
Yeah.
And actually, in the very back, the tall guy with a little bit of the Eddie Munster look is Peter Vellucci.
Aha.
All right?
And that's John Lennon here?
No, the guy in the back was obscured. That's the one person that I don't actually know. But I was curious. I knew 5 of the people in it. I know
Who's
the fellow.
this?
That fellow with the sort of plattish looking
Yeah.
is David Clem, a former city councilor.
Oh, of course, yes. And?
And that, well, now, so I didn't know. I knew about 5 of the names on there. And then I got an email from one of the gentlemen pictured informing me who the other names were, as well as the location.
Tell us.
Well, in the foreground, right at the left with the dark suit is, I think that's Bob Jones. He's a real estate kind of guy around town.
And
Walter Milne, who's actually, I forget exactly what his role exactly was, but he has a room or plaque dedicated to him in the Cambridge Senior Center.
and
A guy named Ned, and I've already sort of forgotten his last name already.
what a great photo.
Yeah, but I think it's the picture with Bob Healy in there that really kind of threw me in that, right? But yeah, anyway, it's quite a shot. And actually, as it turns out, the photo was
Should we go back?
Yeah, a little bit. They were doing the ribbon cutting for the Cambridge Chamber of
work.
Commerce. So which is actually up on Mass Ave, not just up the block from City Hall.
This is a great photo.
So it's the Bob Healy picture here in the lower right that really kind of took me by surprise when I saw it there.
Was he city manager then?
I think this may actually predate his being city manager. I have to go double check on the dates in there, but he may actually have been city manager by then. There were several terms when Al Vellucci was mayor. Presumably, since Al's doing the ribbon cutting in this photo, it would have been one of those terms. So I'd have to kind of nail it down a little bit more closely. But I'll find out some more information. I'll post
Love
that
it.
soon. But anyway, I thought that was sort of a pretty cool thing.
You got more?
Well, a little bit of here and there. Maybe
More
some
photos?
Not so much
too bad.
photos. Just no, not really. But a few just sort of items, sort of interesting things. Actually, maybe we could sort of point out a few things.
We got a lot of stuff going
Yeah,
on
actually,
this webpage.
let me just sort of do a little bit of, if we might take a little walk through the old Cambridge Civic Journal.
I wish
right?
we could.
We could do that a little bit here. So let's see. So there we were at that photo, and I'm going to do a little, if I can learn how to do these Macintosh things here. I don't know if this may actually run off the edge of the screen here,
No,
unfortunately.
you have to do that. Move that
The what
there.
thing? I don't even know how
Right
that
down
works.
here, there's a ruler.
There is?
Yeah, and now you can scroll it back and forth.
Oh, I can just sort of scan back and
Or
forth
you can
if I want.
shrink
yeah.
it if you want.
I don't even know how to do that, so I'll just sort of, not do that. But there was, the city's always doing something interesting. And the
Well, we'll
latest
do that
one
now.
was, they were doing an award ceremony
Let's
for...
have a look at you, and then I'll play with it while they
Right.
look at you.
They were recently doing an award ceremony for this year's graduates from the Cambridge Learning Center, Cambridge, the adult ed courses that we do. There's another little item here where they do the 2014 Taxi Cab Driver of the Year. Cambridge feels like such a little town when I see these kinds of awards and such. It's kind of fun. But anyway, plenty of other things going on around town.
All right, I think that's it.
Yeah. All right. We're sort of incompetently trying to sort of scroll our way through technology here.
I can be doing this at home, or I can have all of you
There
watch
we
me
go,
doing
there
this.
we go.
Screwing it up
All
here
right.
or screwing it up
All
at
right.
home? Okay, there
All
you
right.
go.
All right. Good
What do you
enough.
want to do? Shall we share, or are we?
Yeah, let's just do a little share here.
All right.
This is again one of these nice.
Oh, this
little,
is the taxi driver of the
Yeah,
year.
this is our taxi cab driver of the year with a lot of familiar faces. I know.
Is this award sponsored by Uber?
No, I don't think so. That is Police Deputy Superintendent Jack Albert, who's a really great guy, sitting there here on the far left in the photo, and various
Where?
other people in the city administration, and from the Licensing Commission. You can see some of the photos on the back wall of former mayors, like Joe DiGuglielmo, and I'm not sure about the other two on the right. I should know, but I don't, actually.
Product placement over here.
Yeah, a little product placement, exactly right. So anyway, that was...
Nice. That's a nice photo.
Yeah, so, Cambridge is pretty good at just sort of acknowledging some of the superlative characters around town.
Oh, and the taxi driver of the year is a woman.
No. It's
What
the
does it say here?
gentleman in the middle. That's
it's
Elizabeth Lynch from the License Commission.
It's
in there.
wonderful. What's his name? Does it say here? Dennis Howe?
Let's see, Elizabeth Lynch, Dennis Howe. Yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
Congratulations, Mr. Howe.
Yep. Right.
It's very nice.
Yeah. So anyway, it's a number of sort of fun things happening around town here. Actually, one thing I thought maybe what I'd do here is just do a little, since I have a little bit of outline of a few things we might touch upon. Not that I want to seem altogether too random here,
Look at you
There we
playing
go.
with the machine.
Right, but one of the things that I actually found kind of interesting, right, yeah, so this is like my index. I've got queued up about sort of an index of some various things we can touch upon in here. Actually, let me go a little bit out of order since we always like to beat that Sullivan Courthouse, the dead horse.
Well, speak for yourself.
All right, I'll just sort of say here, but they actually have settled on the planning board meeting for the Sullivan Courthouse as July 29th. They haven't set the location, probably be the Cambridge Multicultural Arts Center down East Cambridge. I did speak to a person who's in the know, and apparently the only thing that's holding up the process right now is losing the prisoners there is they needed to get the occupancy permit up for the jail in Billerica. As soon as the local building department says it's okay, then away they go to the Hooskow. And that'll be so good. There's by the way, for those who are interested in an update of what's happening on that, tomorrow night, 7 to 8:30, the East Cambridge planning team is hosting a meeting on with the latest updates from Leggett McCall on the
Tomorrow's Wednesday the 25th.
Wednesday the 25th from 7 to 8:30 at the East End House down in East Cambridge.
Mm-hmm.
So things are definitely starting to happen.
The Foundry's having a meeting today, too.
Was that today?
I think so.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right.
The 24th, so if you want to go.
That's right, that's right. So plenty of things happening.
Wait until after the show. Go.
Yeah. One thing that I actually found kind of interesting, for reasons other than what maybe was intended about this, is that yesterday there was, instead of a regular Cambridge City Council meeting, there was a roundtable meeting where the topic under discussion in an informal session, by the way, Sullivan Chamber in City Hall is shut down. They're doing a complete renovation.
For how long?
It won't open until sometime in the fall, mid-fall. So the midsummer meeting of the City Council, don't go to City Hall. It's not going to be there.
How's it going to look? What are they doing?
Well, they're putting in a lot of audio-visual enhancements. They're going to make even the mayor's podium handicap accessible. And I think they're doing a lot of heating and air conditioning improvements to sort of bring it up to speed. Basically, there's a lot of things that are long overdue. It's a little tricky to do it because it's a historic site.
Right.
So making it all work and still keeping the historical commission happy is not such an easy thing.
Well, once you start, it triggers all sorts of codes and.
Yep, it sure does. It sure does. So one of the things that I found kind of interesting about this, and I'm going to hope that this actually opens up in some appropriate way.
Here.
Yeah, it is sort of a cheat sheet.
We can just read it and people watch us reading it.
Actually, several months ago, I was kind of queuing things up this way here, and it was kind of fun. But I'm going to actually give people a little taste of what we at the City Council saw yesterday. They saw a presentation on the topic was climate change mitigation and preparedness planning.
This is actually interesting.
Yeah, it's actually interesting for a number of reasons, and it's not just because of the climate change aspects. Really, I think probably the most significant thing about the presentation was really the preparedness for just disasters, whether or not they were related to climate change. For example, like everybody in New York City learned the hard way when Hurricane Sandy came ashore. It caused tremendous amount of damage because there was a lot of infrastructure that was not sufficiently hardened, as they say, to withstand the storm. So anyway, the presentation, I didn't get to see the entire presentation, sort of began with
Whose quote is
just
that?
sort of discussion. I'm not actually even sure who the quotes are, but just sort of talking about the fact that there is some truth to the climate change question. But whether a person chooses to believe it or not, there's still some value in doing the preparedness. So there was some of the evidence having to do with temperature rise and whatnot.
Yeah.
Some of this is still in the future, but little nice photos showing the melting of the in the Arctic, right? I guess this is in a span from, 1984 to 2012.
So that's 2 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, it actually grows and shrinks every year. So it's just a matter of what's true at the peaks and valleys in the natural cycles. So anyway, I'm just going to kind of scroll ahead here rather than get into all the particulars about it. But one of the things that I actually found quite optimistic, and I actually saw a little bit of presentation about this again today at another ordinance committee hearing, was that it appears that electric use and gas use in Cambridge actually has leveled off, even though there's new development. The energy efficiency measures are starting to kick in and become pretty noticeable, that there's a leveling off of energy consumption.
That's wonderful.
And even now in recent years, even as development has grown and occupancy has grown, we're actually starting to see some decreases. Not enough decreases to satisfy those who have maximal concern about climate change, but definitely decreases. So again, I don't want to dwell on all of the data on here because, well, that was the import of tomorrow. But I actually have this linked off the Cambridge Civic Journal site, so if people want to go and sort of scroll through it at their leisure, they can do so.
Thank you.
But the one thing that actually was very interesting, and it did well. One thing I'll say is what the city of Cambridge is doing just individually is actually pretty impressive in terms of getting great energy efficiency in city buildings. They're replacing street lights with LED fixtures. So there's a real commitment on the city to do it. But the problem is that not everything is owned by the city. So what do you do in general? Now, when the presentation was completed last night, the thing that everybody actually dwelt on, right, was actually the very, very, I'm going to jump in here and just
How
say,
can you not talk about trash and recycling?
A little quick thing here on
Robert.
trash and recycling is that the interesting thing is that total trash is down by 25,000 tons since 1990, which is really
Is that
under
good?
recycling. That's really good. And the recycling rate is up around half now. So what you're seeing in this picture here is just the total tonnage dropping.
Now, Mr. Mathwis, does
Yeah.
that mean that our trash was 50,000 tons?
I think so. Yeah, I think it's
So
actually.
it went from 50,000 to 25,000?
It's actually more like 40 some odd thousand down to close to
Oh, no,
15,000.
you're
Yeah.
looking at the actual
Yeah,
chart.
yeah, actually,
Oh, there's
that's
the chart.
right. Yeah, but I think again, I urge you to sort of consult this. It's very interesting.
That's wonderful.
And I thank John Baldock from the city for sending this to me. But the thing that actually really kind of caught everybody's attention at the very end was, I believe, the very last slide. So I'm just going to scroll right in here, which was this interesting one here. It says the combined impacts and interdependencies. And I'll just sort of point out that what you see there in the sort of the
Or this is a flood
blue
map?
is basically, I mean, it's a little hard to see right in here. You can blow it up a little bit, but basically on, sort of category 1, 2, 3 type storm events, exactly where the flooding would actually, how far up the waters would make it. And it was interesting, Dennis Benzan actually at the meeting was saying how he had to actually purchase special flood insurance because he lives on Pine Street. So this is a serious thing, regardless of how one feels about climate change and all such things.
So the blue parts are where we have potential flooding in the future.
Potential flooding, depending on particular storm
Yeah.
events.
So it's
There
around
are
the
some.
river.
I actually have some links as well for some other graphics actually
Around
showed
the
here.
pond, too. Look at that.
Yeah, well, that's water right there. Actually, I'm going to sort of go back to us here and just say that.
I like
what-
that map.
Well, one of the things that's interesting, and I'm not going to put this on the document scanner to show, but what's
let me do
interesting
it.
to look at that is that if you actually look at, we actually only have a half a minute, that's the catch, but we'll come back
Oh.
with it here. If you actually look at old maps before they filled in, it basically, the map is almost like.
Oops, that's you.
Oh, gosh, look at me. It's almost identical to an old map, there you go, of showing what things were before they actually filled in the lands here in Cambridgeport.
So we're
this is-
going back to the old marshes?
Yes, yeah. So anyway, we got to scoot out here now, but we will come back in a second here for another edition of Cambridge Inside Out.
Out.
All right.